Hi, this video is a bit different from my usual farm videos. It features pictures that I've taken rather than video. Some of you know I had a book published a few years ago called A Year on a Dairy Farm. There you go, there it is. And off the back, it's all basically pictures of our farm. So if any of you are familiar with my videos, you'll have seen what I do, and it tells you a story behind the farm. Anyway, over the years I've been doing quite a lot of talks to groups in the evening, things like WIs and stuff, and I talk about the book and the pictures and everything like that. And one evening I actually thought it might be quite a nice idea to record my talk so that people could actually listen to it. And what I've done now on a video is I've actually edited some of the pictures from the book, not all of them but some of them, to my voice talking about the pictures, because I do a slideshow when I talk. So what you're going to see is that talk set to those slides, which some people might find interesting. I hope they do, because it gives you a bit more background about what I do day to day on the farm rather than just seeing me, because I explain how I do things, which is really what the book's about. So this is part one. There's going to be several other parts, so you can watch it in sections, because it's I usually talk for about nearly an hour usually, so you don't want to sit for an hour of that. So I've kind of chopped into bits. I think it's probably going to be 4 parts, which I hope you'll kind of enjoy. Incidentally, if any of you like a copy of the book, they are available on my website, www.richardcornock.co.uk. I'll put a little slide at the end of this video. Yeah, it's something you can probably sit down and just let play over you, but hopefully enjoy and see what I do. Anyway, stay tuned and listen to me talking to a group. I think it was about a year ago, actually, just before my dad died, so I still talk about him in the present terms. And it's funny how when you do these things you capture a moment in time, because you know, now he's passed away, it's quite nice to still have the record of the book with him in them and things like that. Anyway, stay tuned, keep watching. Cheers. It's nice to be here, and I can say you're all better looking than Chipping Sodbury WI. Some of you, not all of you. Well, because you're so good looking, I'm going to take your photograph. Right, can you all say cheese? There we go. Oh, sorry, sir, I'll edit you out later. The reason I took the picture with this camera is to just show you the camera that I took all the photographs with that you're going to see tonight. You might know a little bit about me. I'm a dairy farmer from Titherington in South Gloucestershire, so I'm not very far from here. And really, I can drive quite quick when I'm late to get here. What I did in 2009, I decided to do a project just to photograph our farm for a year. Now, I'm not into photography really. The one thing I knew though, that was I needed a small compact camera to keep in my top pocket. It was no good me buying one of these big professional SLR cameras that you carry around, because realistically, you know, in my working day, I haven't, I can't just get out and pose. So I needed something I could put in my top pocket. So I actually went to Tesco's and bought this camera for 90 quid. They don't make it anymore, it's just a little Sony camera. It's a lovely little camera actually to put in your pocket. And then I proceeded to snap away for a year. And you're going to see some of the pictures tonight, and then I'm going to sort of tell you the things that it led to after I had a book published from the photographs. I'll tell you a little bit about our farm though. We are the cliche small family farm. I work with my brother Tom and my dad Bill. My dad's 81, and at 6:30 this morning he was up helping on the farm. He hasn't retired, because farmers don't really retire, do they? We only milk 70 cows, which is very small in this day and age. We also do quite a bit of conservation work. We're in a thing called higher level stewardship, which is an environmental scheme, and entry level stewardship, and we do a few projects on the farm under that scheme, which I really enjoy. So I'm going to start with the year. Can we have some lights out? I don't know how these lights work. I'm in control.
Just have a go.
Right, see what happens then. Brilliant. Tell me when.
That's it.
Should we just turn? We don't want them all out, do we? Is that all right? Okay, brilliant. Okay, so we'll start the year. Well, we'll start a year with the picture I didn't take. And you can see why. This is the earliest picture we've got from on our farm. Our family have been at Newhouse Farm since 1822, so we're just about getting the hang of it now, really. But this picture was taken in 1887, and you can see it's a lovely, brilliant family portrait there. It's very Victorian, isn't it? If you look there, the guy stood up very proud there is my great-great-grandfather, William Cornock, with his watch chain, and his wife is sat on the chair there, and this is his brother and sister over here. But also, interestingly enough, in the picture is his housekeeper there and his maid. My wife's now got a microwave and a dishwasher. She'd rather have a maid and a housekeeper, but that didn't happen. My parents live in the farmhouse. I live off the farm, but I travel there, only up the road from it, really. And there we go. There's what we look like now. So it's a bit more casual, isn't it? That's in the same outside the front of the house. The same group of us, over 130 years later. And there's my mum and dad in the middle. And my brother there, my wife there, looking very tired because that was just after she gave birth to my second son Harry, and my little boy Jack there. But that's my nephew there doing the karate chop in front, and you can see how things have changed from the Victorian era. It's all very casual now, isn't it? You know, it's a lot more relaxed. Society's changed a lot. Anyway, coming on to the start of the year, we've got January here, and you can see a very frosty morning, a very cold day. I was very lucky when I decided to do this project. We had a year where we had some snow, because realistically we don't often get a lot of snow, you know, really harsh winters. And from a photography point of view, if you don't have snow on a farm between about November and about April, all you just see is brown, because everything's mud or poo, really. But on this picture here, that's a view of the farm taken from Titherington Hill. I had to go up on the hill to get that, and when I was up there, this actual tree was in the front of my view, so I actually stood on my car roof to get that picture. But my car roof's now got a dent in it, where it doesn't take the weight of me. But this is looking across to Bath direction over there. Bristol's to the right, and Chipping-Sopping-Yate, I'm guessing, is about over here somewhere. And there's the farmhouse there, you can see on the right there, and to the left the buildings, and then our farm goes off to the left. So we're coming into winter there, like I said. My dad there bringing the coffee out in the morning. Always likes his flat cap. I don't know actually how much extra protection in the winter it gives him on top of a balaclava there. But he's bringing us the coffee at 8 o'clock in the morning. He's also got odd gloves on, but we'll forgive him that, won't we? So he's bringing the coffee out, and there's my poor brother there in the yard. You can see how bleak it is, really, can't you, from that picture? What's interesting is when I had the book published, I had a number of reviews done with different magazines and stuff. And one of them was a magazine called Amateur Photographer, and the chap came out to interview me, and he said, "Oh, you know, that's a really good picture." He said, "You've got this, you know, the snow streaks on there, you know, with the time of delay and everything like that." And I'm like, "Well, yeah," because really, what happened is, my brother didn't actually like having his picture taken, and I was hiding behind a wall when I took this photo. So what I did, actually jumped out and pressed the shutter as I was jumping, and that's why you got the snow streaks. There isn't actually any skill on my part. It's just very lucky with that picture. So that's why it gives it the effect of a bleak midwinter, if you like. Anyway, you can see how cold it can get from that picture. That's -12, and that was taken at 9 o'clock in the morning. Now, kind of a temperature like that, if you're inside your house looking out for your double glazing, you just turn the heating up a bit, don't you? And that's all right, isn't it? But from a farming point of view, it's a bit of a problem, and definitely for livestock farming it is, because it causes problems like this, water troughs freezing. And bearing in mind we've got 70 milking cows, but at the moment we've probably got about 150 head of cattle on the farm. They've all got to drink every day. They need a lot of water. When the troughs freeze, it's a real issue, and we spend a lot of time either going around with kettles trying to get the water troughs going, because you can see at the back there's a little inlet there that usually freezes on that there. Or I was carting water in containers from a tap that was inside. It's a lot of work, you know. On the plus side, you do get some lovely views, and there's a nice picture of an oak tree there in one of our hay meadows. Now, we're going to see that picture again in the middle of summer, and the contrast is remarkable. So we just visualise that tree for a moment. We'll have another look at it again in June. But coming through here, I always try and take a few clever pictures, and this is where I thought I'd be clever, right? So I thought, maybe I could get a nice sunrise over the buildings. Not very attractive buildings, admittedly, but So I walked out across this field to take the pictures, but you can see in the picture, you can see the extra set of footprints there, can't you? Well, this is where I confess, this is where I proved I'm an amateur, because the reason there's an extra set of footprints is when I got over to the other side of that field, I realised I'd forgotten my camera. So I actually had to go back and get it and then come back. So that's why it looks quite busy. But you can also see in the picture another set of footprints here, and you can go off just to the left there of a rabbit. And that's the one thing that's interesting from my point of view when it snows, is you suddenly realise how alive the countryside is, even in the middle of winter. Because if you look out on a field now, it looks very dead, doesn't it? And there's not much going on. But when you get snow, you can suddenly see the footprints of all the different animals. And certain fields are almost like little mini motorways, because the animals all seem to use the same track. And you can see where a deer or a fox or a badger or something has gone across, which you wouldn't see without the snow. So it's quite interesting. Not only can you see my footprints getting my camera, but you can see all the other animals on the farm. Anyway, we're into our cattle shed now. And I know there's some farmers here, so I don't need to tell them their business, but not everyone knows about farming. So I'm going to start on a kind of assume that you know nothing, and we'll work our way up from there, okay? So on a dairy farm like ours, what happens is about November time, the cattle come inside, and that's really because A, the ground gets churned up too much, but B, the grass stops growing. So you've got two issues there. You've got too much mud and not enough food. So we bring them inside, and they're inside then from November till about the beginning of April, when the grass starts growing again. It creates a lot of extra work. We have to feed them, but we also have to clean them out twice a day and bed them down. And you can see here the straw there where they're lying there, and these passageways we clean out twice a day. And we feed them a mixture of grass silage and maize silage and a bit of rape meal. So we're trying to give them a bit of a balanced diet to make up for the fact they're not getting fresh grass. They do love the maize silage, actually. Almost like when you put the rape meal in with it, it's almost like muesli, and they really like that. But we feed them, and of course the problem with feeding them is you get a lot of cow muck then, don't you? And here's my dear old dad there grafting away while my brother sits on the tractor driving up and down. There's a theme you're going to see through tonight, is that my dad seems to do a lot of work in the pictures, whereas either my brother's on a tractor or I'm taking a photograph. Anyway, we clean them out twice a day, and then of course we take the muck out on the land. In fact, it's perfect recycling, because the cows eat the grass, it comes out as muck, we put it back on the grass, makes the grass grow. Now you can see in this picture here that I'm out with the muck spreader, but this was actually the day that was my day to take the muck out. So I took the muck out, but I also thought I need to get a picture for, to show what I'm doing. So this is where I have to ask if anyone work at health and safety in this room. Because if they do, you better put your fingers in your ears, okay? Because what I actually did when I took this picture, and this is really, really bad, okay, I went in the field and I put the tractor in a low gear. Can you see where it's going? And then what I did, I actually jumped out of the tractor and let the tractor drive itself up the field. So there's no one actually in the cab, which is why there's no picture of a tractor in the photograph. I've often thought, actually, if there was any ramblers or anyone walking by and they looked over the hedge and just saw this tractor going up the field with no one in it, what they would have thought. So then I ran round, jumped back in, and drove off. And the interesting thing is, you can see here I've got a range of cards I've done for my photographs, and there's one of the muck spreader, okay? And it's quite a good selling card, actually, surprisingly. One bloke bought that card for his wife for wedding anniversary. And he actually gave it, and the reason he gave it to, he said, I'm always in the shit with you. So happy anniversary, darling. But actually, he did actually buy her a nice card as well. So I thought it's quite a nice little thing, that, really. So, where there's muck, there's brass or whatever. Anyway, we're coming through into February time now. Well, this is probably about February time. And there we are. We haven't got that tractor anymore, but that's an old Massey, but we changed it now. But I do the hedge trimming on our farm, and this is all, I do it in conjunction with our conservation work, because you might be surprised to know there is actually a season for hedge trimming, and it's from the end of August till the end of February. That's the time you're supposed to do it, because otherwise nesting birds would get destroyed or upset, if you like. So you have to do it in that time. But there's also a better time to do it in that season, and the better time to do it is January and February, really, if you can get on the land. The reason I say that is that because if you go out hedge trimming in September, all the berries on that hedge that are there for the birds to eat are just going to be obliterated. So all your rose hips and blackberries or anything are going to be gone. So I tend to do my hedge trimming in January and February to allow the birds to have the fruit off the tree, off the branches. The other thing I also do is I trim half the farm one year and half the farm the other year, so that any one time there's 2 years growth on a part of the farm. And that's just to give the birds more cover for the winter. You know, because if you trim these hedges right down, there's nothing for them to shelter in or anything. The other thing as well, which is something that you can have a look yourself, is next time you're out for a walk, have a look in the landscape and just see how many old trees and how many young trees there are in the fields. Because since this machine has been invented, it's very easy to sit on your tractor with the arm out and just go along like that and not leave any young trees behind. And I see it now on quite a lot of farms. There's a lot of these old trees, like this one behind, an old ash tree, but not many saplings left. And I think it's very important that farmers should leave at least a couple of trees a year on their farm to grow up, because otherwise we're going to have a situation in, say, 50 years' time where all these old trees have started to die, and we're going to have a lot more of an open landscape with no trees in them. And the tree's free if you trim round it in a hedge. You haven't got to pay to plant it. So I try and do that every year, leave one or two saplings.